Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. How are you doing today? I see some familiar names joining in. Perfect. Indranil, I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. Is it a busy day for everyone? Work's a bit tight? Perfect. We'll just wait a couple of more minutes for others to join in as well, and then we'll dive into our discussion for today. Perfect. Just to give you all a heads up, I would also have a co-host for today as well. I'm waiting for my co-host to join in so that I can also introduce him before we actually jump in and begin. Here we are. Hi, Subrat. I believe you're in mute. Subrat, are you able to hear me? I'll try again to reach back to Subrat. Hi, Subrat. Can you hear me now?
Hi everyone. Sorry, Kunal. Some issues with my audio settings actually. I'm really sorry for that.
That's fine. That's fine. Perfect. So I was just trying to introduce you, right? So probably a lot of you might know Subrat directly, might not know him as well. He's the first time coming into the webinar, right? So I'll quickly introduce him, right? He has been part of InsuredMine for a long time. He's a veteran, you can call him, right? And he has worn a lot of hats and he has known InsuredMine in and out. So I've tried to rope him in for a lot of webinars before, but today is the day I got lucky. I brought him in for a discussion and an important topic that we wanted to bring in to everyone. So I got him to win today's webinar. So let's say hi to everyone.
Hi everyone. Subrat this side. Hopefully, I'll be happy to assist everyone today with some knowledge about InsuredMine and all.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to it. Let me also quickly share my screen. I think people are joining in, but we have a lot to cover today. So I'll quickly share my screen and do let me know when it's visible. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Kunal, you are visible.
Perfect. Just give it one more minute, and I think we are good to start.
Yeah.
And the others, once they join in, they can look through the discussions as well, because again, this is a recorded webinar. We would be sharing it with you as well. Perfect. I think we are in the hour too good to go. So I'll welcome you all again to today's webinar. So today's webinar is all about winning back, and we will help you to set up win back pipelines in InsuredMine. So for today's discussion, as I already mentioned, I have a co-host along with myself who would again talk about how you do the setup, what all things you should keep in mind while you're doing the setup as well. And I'll try to give you a quick introduction why exactly you're trying to set up a win back pipeline, what would be required when you're trying to do so, and why exactly it is needed for your agency as well. So let's just quickly dive into the agenda of the day as well. So we'll quickly talk a bit about the win back pipeline, the benefits and the customization aspect as well. So I'll give you a quick pointers on why exactly it is beneficial, and while you're trying to customize it in InsuredMine, what all things you should keep in mind. And then I'll hand it over to Subrat, who would then dive into InsuredMine and show you the setup steps and how you would actually set up your win back pipeline the right way, and you can engage with your clients as well. Lastly, we would also have a quick Q&A session. You might have certain questions that you would want to put up in chat. I'll try to answer them. And if it requires involvement from Subrat, I'll ask him those questions and he can navigate with an InsuredMine to answer your questions there. And by the end of the day, we would try to wrap up by giving you all the knowledge that we have for today's discussion. Perfect. Let's just quickly begin with a quick win back pipeline introduction and try to understand why exactly we need to have a win back pipeline, right? So win back pipeline basically helps us to re-engage with our clients and lost opportunities. Now, when I say lost opportunities, there are two key segments in lost opportunities. One will, of course, be your lost prospects, and the other would be your lost clients. So lost prospects would always be the initial interest that they showed you, but they never converted and became a client of your agency. So those would be the lost prospects. And lost clients, of course, are termed as someone who had a policy with your agency, but then they did not renew with you and you lost them as a client as well. So those are the two key segments that we would try to re-engage back with. And that's where our win back pipelines come into picturization. Now, the goal here will always be to rebuild the trust, to identify the new needs, and do the personal outreach so that they engage with us and you gain back their trust to get the business out there as well. While we are trying to revive this relationship, which was once gone cold, the right strategy is, of course, the way to get back to these clients, right? And you then would be able to win back them. And this also would help you to deliver the ROI with the low acquisition cost. That's the main goal that we have in today's discussion as well. So having said that, let's also try to understand the benefits of actually creating a win-back pipeline while we are trying to set up InsuredMine as well. The first benefit would, of course, be about higher conversion rate potential. Every year you're trying to convert clients, right? A lot of times we left behind everyone that we lost in terms of the prospects, in terms of the inactive clients. But this pipeline would again help you to get back to those clients and help you to revive them as well, because they know your brand personally, as well as once you send back messages and try to re-engage with them over a call, over an email, they quickly remember you as well. So that's where it becomes easy for you to approach them rather than going directly to a cold lead as well. So that's where your higher conversion rate comes into picture. The acquisition cost is, of course, low in this case because you're not buying in any leads over here. You're trying to re-engage back with the clients that you already had in your system. They can be your prospects, they can be your leads, as well as the inactive clients there. So it's more cost effective as we approach them. The other factor that comes as a benefit would then become the retention strategy. Given they would know your agency and you're trying to get back to them, the pattern of identification becomes easier there, and you would be able to have proactive measures to get back to them and help them to get back to your agency there. It also would help you to add an additional revenue boost because you're trying to get back to these clients. And again, once they get converted, you actually did not do any investment there. They were already present in your book of business and you got back the business there. So re-engaging with them is a lot easier when we talk about benefits there. Now, we would also try to understand when you're trying to do the customization and the setup process, what things you should keep in mind while you try to introduce the win back pipeline for your agency there. So there are a few of the things that you should keep in mind while you're trying to engage and build in the pipeline there. So I'll give you a few pointers there. Again, when I push it over to Subrat, he would showcase all the pointers in the pipeline itself, and that would be a better way to have visibility on what all customizations you do while you're trying to build the win back pipeline. The first and the foremost thing is, of course, adding the X date, because that is where we would be able to trigger the automations and get those cards building up in the pipeline itself in the stages. So adding X dates would be the mandatory one while you're trying to get back to your lost prospects or your lost clients. And again, while you're trying to add the X dates, you can also align the right line of business you lost them for. So if you lost them for the auto policy, you should be adding in the auto policy as the line of business as well. So that when the card revives and gets back to the pipeline, you actually know you lost the client for this line of business. So that's one way to actually customize while you're trying to create the win back pipeline. The next approach that you should take while you're trying to customize your pipeline should be a unique approach. Now, not everything fits best for every other client. In the same way, when it is a lost prospect and it's a difference between a lost client, right? So in that way, the approach should be different. When you're trying to reach out to a lost prospect, the communication pattern can be a bit different. The way you're trying to communicate with them, the information that you're trying to pass on to them can be a bit different. The way you would actually communicate with your lost clients, because they already had a policy with you. So they know your pattern, the way you do business, the way you engage with them. So you can tweak your communications a bit more there to re-engage with them. So approach should be a bit different when you're trying to get back to these clients. Then the other thing which would come into picture would become the automated touch points. Now, the reason you would be utilizing the win-back pipeline is not to spend a lot of time there to engage with these clients. You would want to wait with the automation so that the clients respond back to you, and then you align your agents to re-engage with them. While I say that, automation would be a major play role in here. And through automations, you would be actually automating text, emails, and tasks so that you keep on re-engaging with these clients without even doing any manual intervention there. So that's where automation would play a major role while you're trying to get back and win back these clients as well. Last but not the least would all be about recycling these leads effectively. So when you're bringing these leads in the pipeline, you should also be recycling these leads so that even if again this year they do not respond back to you, you can again try to re-engage them the next year, again the next year, again the next year, with manual intervention, without manual intervention. So that is where again we would have to recycle them the right possible way itself. Now these are few of the steps that I wanted to first discuss and then show you how exactly the visibility would look like when you actually dive into creation of the pipeline. Before I actually pass on to Subrat and he starts sharing the screen to give you a whole new access and showcase how exactly you're creating those pipelines, any few questions that I can answer in the initial phase. I'll quickly review a chat if there is any. If not, I'll ask Subrat to just share the screen. I'll quickly stop sharing the screen so that he can start sharing the screen and he can start off with the discussion. Subrat, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kunal, for the opportunity, and I'll welcome again to everyone. Very good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on our webinar regarding the win-back client. And now I'm going to share my screen regarding total how we will be doing it practically, which Kunal just explained as a theory. Okay. So as Kunal explained, there are some mandatory options which we have to focus on. The thing is that is the X date has to be updated in accounts and contacts first. Okay. To make this process happen and active, we will be needing X dates which are already updated in the contacts or else in the account level. I'll share little steps, like when we are marking a deal card as lost, or else like we can, while creating a new contact, if the contact is not active, but like we can manually add exits as well. And while marking deal card as lost, we can use the option of adding exit manually while the process is going on. So this will be helping us in the longer run. Like the exit workflow will be working on the basis of these data which we are updating during these small actions. Okay. So first of all, we'll start with the pipeline has to be created first with the plan that how we are going to approach to our clients which are not currently active with us, or else like they haven't been active with us from the beginning itself, and we're trying to pitch them something new. So on those basis, first we will be planning out how the pipeline should be and what are the stages we are going to use to carry out the whole process. So once we set up our pipeline, then the second focus should be coming on setting up the automations and how what basis the automations are supposed to be updated. So I have, for example, this is one of the pipeline which I have created where we have different stages. Like one is win back opportunity, when where as per my plan, I have planned like the cards are supposed to be dropped over here in a certain time range, so that like I'll be following up with them by sending an email or while sending any text. If suppose like there is a limit that within 30 days only we have to take any decisions, we can add multiple automations during the 30 days time period, so that like we will be like engaging the client on a regular basis, so that we will be reminding them, following up with them, and try to identify they are interested or not. And if we can also add the option of lost as well, if there is no response from the client based on your plan, actually the process which you have planned for. Based on that, we can use the automations like lost automations. We can add many automations as we are already using it for our other pipelines like renewals and sales. Okay, on a similar basis. So the next thing comes after creating a pipeline, we'll be creating the templates and setting up the stages automations for a smooth run whenever the cards starts getting dropped in our portal. Okay. Any questions till now? Just wanted to ask.
Not yet, Subrat. So I believe once we discuss the automations, we might get some questions there.
Okay. Okay. So next comes the main thing is like how the cards will be dropping in our pipeline, which we have created for our Winback portal. Okay. So there are three different ways I'll say. The first one is manual. The second one is by default. And the third one is the customized way of InsuredMine, how we can do it. So we'll start from the basic. We'll look after for the manual process, how we are going to do. We have the opportunities module over here where we have the option of X dates. We can identify what are the X dates on the basis of contacts and accounts, and on the basis of other filters like agents and categories as well. Okay, so this module will be giving us the data of the policies or the contacts who has X dates updated in them, and like we can identify and forecast that okay, we are going to work in these options, and we can create manual cards from here itself directly to our pipeline, and the cards will be getting created and the automations will work again. Okay, so this is how the manual process works. Next comes the default settings. So for that setting, we'll have to go back to our winback pipeline again. We will be navigating to the action button, three dots at the top right corner, go to pipeline settings, and here we have the options. In these options, we have the XDate pipeline option as well. So in this option, it is currently disabled. So what we'll have to do is like we'll be enabling this. So once the like the option is enabled, we will be seeing multiple options in the screen. What are we supposed to do and what are we going to set for? Okay, so the first comes on what basis you want the cards to be created, either on the basis of contacts or else on the basis of accounts. So basically on the basis of account, that means we are targeting the commercial clients specifically, and we are targeting for the contacts, then the personal clients. Okay, in this basis we can set. And we also have another options. So this is a by default, which looks like this, but we also have another option by account type. So here we are selecting, we are going to target for personal, commercial, or others as well, because there might be situations you are selecting accounts, but there might be accounts which are also personal and commercial. So this is the advantage which we have given over here as a additional option, so that we can segregate on these two different segments as well. Okay. Next, we will be selecting the pipeline. Over here, I'll be selecting the win-back pipeline, which we have created. Next, we'll be selecting the stages. It will automatically show up the stages which we have created in our pipeline. We'll be selecting the required stage as per our planned process. And we are going to select on which board the card has to be created. So we have both the options, private and shared. If you want like a specific agent has to be like who will be working specifically for these type of cards on the basis of X states, we can select private and select the agent. Or else if you want the card to be as a shared one, so that any of the agents can see, and required one can get it to their own private pipelines, so we can use a shared board over here. Next comes where we are going to select before how many days of the X date the card has to be created. Okay, so if I am selecting 60, if the date is selected as XYZ, then the card will be getting created 60 days before that particular XYZ date. Okay, so we can change it according to our requirement. If we don't want to follow up with client like 60 days prior to X date, or we just want to start working with those clients like 30 days, we can change the dates as per our requirement. And as we have the option of shared board, next comes the option where we can select who will be the assigned agent for these cards. Okay, if we can, as selected shared, we have the option of selecting none as an option while creating the cards. No one will be assigned to that particular deal card. But if we see, if we switch to private, then we are missing the none option, because private board definitely needs an agent. On that basis only, that particular card will be moving to their own private board, that specific agent's private board. Okay, so we have these options where we can select who assigns the contact will be getting the cards, agent who is assigned in the contact level or else in the account level. They will be the primary agent in the deal cards which will be getting created. Or X who are in the account, the third option, as well as we can select any specific agent who will be by default getting assigned to those particular deal cards. Okay, so these are the options we have in our default settings. So once everything is updated, we can save the settings, and from the next day onwards, all the prospected cards will be falling in our new win back pipeline. Okay, so we have covered two options. One is manual and one is default card creation option. So we have the customized one to be explained. Just wanted to see anyone has any questions, Kunal, for me?
Not yet, Subrat. Kate just
Okay,
mentioned that she cannot see your screen. Uh, I believe we can, but I'm not sure because she mentioned that she cannot see your screen. Is it? I
I'll
think
do
you
one
have
thing.
full screen, right?
Yes, I'll stop sharing and reshare my screen again. So hopefully the issue with screen not sharing will be rectified. Is it visible now? Good.
It is. Yeah.
Okay,
She says
perfect.
that it is tiny, but I'm not sure because I still can see it. I know it's tiny, but we can still see it.
Is it tiny? Let me, which
You
is the
can just
settings?
enlarge it a bit more. Yeah, you can just enlarge it a bit more. Yeah.
Is it good now?
No, I think you decreased it. Yeah, I think this is fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is the process for the second option, the default card creation. Okay, now moving to the like customized process. For that reason, we'll have to move to the different module. We'll be moving to engagement module, and we have the automation option over here. So we'll be creating a new workflow where we can select the X state workflow, which is already prepared. Okay, then we can use the customize button where this page will be popping up, where we are going to select the actions which we are going to take. The word customize I used for this particular workflow is because we have the option to select what actions we are going to take rather than just creating deal cards. Okay, we have other options like we can send emails, we can create a task, we can send a reminder, we can send for a rating purpose as well. So these are the options which enables this particular workflow to be more customized. And there are so many filters we can use, like on the basis of filters like account type, we can filter on the basis of age group, branch, include tax, exclude tax, on the basis of lead source as well, disposition, anything which we feel like, yeah, I just want to focus on this particular type of client. Okay, so these are the main features which make this process totally different and identical from our manual process and the default process of calculation. And we can also select the pipeline cards as well, as if we are planning to use this option. Okay, so the next different option which is important is like we can select what kind of clients we are looking for. We can select only the active client if there is only one policy which it was active previous with us, but currently it is not active with us, but we do have other active policies with the same client. So we can select this option for those policies which are not active with particularly that client. Okay, and we can see the inactive client option as well. Here we will be seeing those contacts cards will be getting created who doesn't have any active policy right now with us, but they had active policies previously with us. Okay, and prospect, same thing, like they haven't had any policy, but like we are reaching out to them on a yearly basis, on a cycle, if they have any opportunity and they want any option of having a new policy with them with us. Okay, so these are the options we can select, and the all option is for considering all type of accounts, contacts, irrespective of their status. If X date is present, card will be getting created. Okay, yeah, we do have the option of including any specific category as well. So we have these options as of now, but when you set up, things will be looking a bit different because you will be having more number of categories. So you can select what kind of for specific, let's suppose you want the X date to be created only for the auto policies, those auto policies which are currently not active. They were active but currently not active. So we can select auto, so that like the cards which will be getting created from here, or else the policies which will be fetched for this particular workflow will be only fetched for the auto policies only. Okay, we can select next comes the trigger date flow and how many date range we want. As I gave the example for the XYZ deal card in our default one, before 60 days we were using, so we can use the same options over here as well. We can use 90, 120, 30, or else any specific date range before how many days of that XDT you want the cards to be created. So let's go with 60 because that's the uh, regular number which is by default used. So these are the options. Let me just give an example. Okay, I've selected three options over here. First is email, next is task, and the third is pipeline deal card. Okay, while going to the next page, we have the option to select multiple stage drips as well with the same workflow. Okay, so we can remove if we don't want them, but like, yeah, we can keep as if we want them as well. Okay, and we can customize it. So let's see that before 60 days you want a email to be sent out to the client, you don't want the card to be created over here. So you can use this email option where you will be getting the option to set an email over here using the tags and email templates which you have already created. And in the second stage, you want that an email has already been sent out. I don't want the like card to be created directly. Let's add a task for any specific agent. Like, do you want to reach out to them or something like that? On that basis, we can create a task for our internal agents if they want to connect with them. Okay. And finally, at the third stage, if you want, now this is the time where we need the deal card to be created so that like we can keep a proper track of this through the deal cards itself. You can use the option of pipeline cards so that you will be getting the option for selecting the pipelines and selecting the stages as well. Okay, so this helps and we can assign the agent who are going to be working on that particular deal card, uh, either me or not. It also depends on what board we are selecting. As it is showing as private, we are not getting the option of none, but if we select shared, the mandatory option of this assigning gets omitted. Okay, so in that situation, we don't have to select a specific agent who will be assigned to the deal card. We can select the pipeline name, you can select the pipeline stage, and before how many days. Let's suppose I want this to be selected as 30, and the second task I want this one to be selected as 45. Okay, like the task one. So like we have set up the drip on an interval, like on a day of interval of 15 days. First we want to send an email before 60 days, then we want to create a task for our agent for a follow-up with the client directly before 45 days, and just right before 30 days of the X date we are creating a deal card which will directly fall under the selected pipeline which we have selected. Okay, so these are the things which should be understood carefully, and while setting up things, mostly yes, I'll also say that it is not limited that you can only send one email or one task, or else this is limited. You can add stages. If suppose like I had a card option in pipeline 3, again switch, I can switch it to email as well. I can send another email before 30 days. If I feel like no, after sending two emails and one task created for our agent, we are not getting any proper response from them, then we can create a card. So these options are also available. We can reuse the selected options of email or any other options which are selected over here from the first stage. Okay. Yeah. So once this is updated, I'll remove a few things as of now, so that like we can go to the final stage. And let me select the pipeline card over here. I'll select the pipeline as in back. We'll select stage as this one, signage shared. I'm not changing anything. We are selecting 90 itself. Sorry, the date was changed to 60, so we'll have to update it again. 60 days. Yeah. So after updating everything, make sure you are filling all the mandatory options. Asterisk options are all properly filled. And then when we move to the final stage, the third stage, we have the overview, what we have currently set up for. So XState workflow name, this will be for email, task, and pipeline. And the cards will be getting created in this particular pipeline and in this particular stage. We have selected contacts and we have selected all the agents. Let's suppose you have 20 agents or else 25 agents, more than 10. Okay, uh, might be 3 as well. So we can select for which particular agent the card has to be created. Let's take an example. There is a contact for Alex. Alex is the assigned agent in that contact 360. Okay, contacts or else in account 360. As we have selected contact type as all contacts criteria, so if any of the Alex contacts book of business has the X date, then if it is selected over here, then those contacts will be fetched by this workflow for the card to be created. If we are unselecting CSM demo, if any contacts has X date, but the assigned agent is CSM demo, so that particular contacts deal card will not be getting created in our X-day pipeline as the agent is not selected. Okay, so this is a place where we has to update things carefully. I'll suggest if it is a X state, we already have filters set, so we can select all agents so that like none of the policies or none of the opportunities can be missed for making a sale. Okay, on that perspective. So once this is updated, we also have the option to like email a notification to the assigned agent of the contact. If you want, if you feel like this is necessary, we can use this checkbox option as well. And once updated, we can start the automation. And once updated from the next working day, the start of the day, the cards will start falling in our selected pipeline. Okay, so please let me know if there is any questions, any confusions, you want me to repeat something.
Questions? I don't think there is any. Dennis did ask a question. I think I did answer her question in the chat itself alongside Indranil also answered the question if you want to add on something to it. So she basically asked, what is the difference between a lead and a prospect? So if you want to add on something to that question, you can add on. But I have actually answered the question on the chat.
So I trust you on that part. I don't think like I have to separately answer on that. And yeah, so good.
Perfect, perfect. Another pointer that we can also showcase would be on the automation side of it, right? We talked about renewal and recycling those cards that comes into the win back pipeline, right? We can also automate the marking of the cards as lost. Your agents do not have to manually come back in the pipeline and try to mark the card as lost if they have not heard back from the client. So that's again another opportunity by which you can also automate the marking of the lost on the deal cards, so that let's suppose you bring in the card today and you want to reach out to these clients for straight 30 days, 40 days. You have set of automations, emails going out every week, texts going out, your agent is making a call to them, and this goes on for a straight 40 days. You haven't heard back from those clients. Spot after 40 days, the general notion is they are still not interested, right? But you would want to recycle this X date for the next year so that this card again populates into this pipeline back again. So that is where again loss automation comes into picture. And I think Subrat can help you with the discussion and show you how exactly you can automate that lost card automation there as well. Subrat?
Yeah. So in the situations, in these kind of such situations where we are not sure that what exactly client have in their mind, so eventually the card gets lost automatically. We have set the automation that after this specific date, the card has to be marked as lost. We do have the option to select the reasons on why automations, like what exactly the reason might be. We'll be selecting the lost reasons when the cards get like lost automatically. We can select like a number of days of reminder, what reminder we want to set, and we can select a label as well. So using this option and automatically on the X date. So using this option, the cards will be getting reopened again in the next year for the same X date itself. So it makes things easier so that like once we are you start using this will be a cyclic process for the upcoming years. We don't have to manually trigger things. It will be already planned and things will be on a cyclic manner so that like we don't have to put separately any efforts into these settings changes and all. Yeah, small settings and updates like lost reasons and all, those things can be updated. You want a reminder to be changed, these things can be updated, but the process will be a cyclic process. It will not stop until uh, the X date is updated in that particular contact. Okay, so like every year we will be reaching out to the client. Yes, we didn't had any business last year. You moved to some other provider and all. So these are the features like options which we have this year for you and benefits which you'll be getting. Do think about this. So these kind of codes and all, it will be a good option so that like we can keep in touch with the client and they can also see the persistence of the provider and creates a good impact as well.
Perfect. Subrat, I think we do have a question, and while I read the question, I'll also try to answer it. So the question basically is in Evo, our AMS. So this is a question from Demon. He's asking in Evo, our AMS, a contact is the person in additional to the main contact. An example would be a spouse who does is not our main contact for insurance. So where does the X date information come from that triggers the deal card? Does it come from the policy list? In other words, does it pull from the expiration date of the policy in Evo? If this is the case, we would need to add a proposed policy for every prospect in order for them to show up as a deal card in the pipeline. Am I correct? Would you want to answer that? So basically, you would actually have to add the X dates on the contact level right over here because we trigger the X dates on the contact and the account level. So Subrat, I think you can take up the question from there and just showcase how to add the X dates on the contact and the accounts so that he knows how to bring in the where the system would be reviewing to bring in the cards in the pipeline.
Sure, Kunal, I'll be happy to do that. Okay, let me do one thing. Let's create a test deal card. Test deal card for this particular example. Okay, I'll stop any automations. Let's see. Okay. So if this is the deal card which is being used not for the X state pipeline, just an example. Okay. So if this deal card is being used for a policy of a renewal, okay, for any contact, they have active policy. We are reaching out to them for renewals purpose, but eventually the client decided not to go with us, and they're trying to check for any other opportunities in the market. So in that basis, what do? We lost, we mark the card as lost. Okay. So in this situation, we have the option to set as set an X date. Let's suppose the policy was going to expire on 30th of May. So what I'll do is, like, I got the confirmation from the client today itself, like there are 10 days left for that expiration date, but the client confirmed that they are not going forward with us anymore. Okay, so what I can do is, like, I can either select the 31st May as the X date, or else like the same current day when I am marking the deal card is lost at the exit as well. So in this basis, we have the opportunity, like manually adding it when the cards are being created. Sorry, when we are marking the deal card as lost, so that, like, eventually this particular date will be getting updated to the contact level itself. And from that contact data, the card will be again recreating next year for you to reach out to the same client for seeking any opportunity of or any requirement of policy if they are happy to engage with. So
And
we do
just
have any option. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to add on to that point that Subrat mentioned, so let's suppose Kunal and Subrat are both brothers, and they are Subrat is the primary contact there, and Kunal is the brother. So if you also want to engage with Kunal, though Kunal is not a primary contact, you're always engaging with Subrat there, but you also now want to sell a policy to Kunal. Now, if you're trying to engage with Kunal, what you can also do is you can go into the contact for Kunal and add in an X date for Kunal as well, so that the next time when a card gets created, it gets created in the under the name of Kunal itself, rather than getting all the cards created for Subrat. So in that way, you can also bring in cards for Kunal there as well. So again, I think in terms of the spouse question that you had, you can just simply go into the contact level, add in the X date for any specific policy that you're trying to run, or any line of business that you're trying to reach them for, and just simply add in the X date. And then the system can go ahead and try to create the cards before the X date comes in. Demin, I hope that answers your questions. If not, you can reach out to me as well, and I can answer them, or we can connect. No, it basically does not sync with Evo. Yeah, correct. You had that. You had that right. Yeah, it does not. Yeah. Perfect. Any other questions other than Demin? So there are different ways by which you can actually bring in the cards, as discussed by Subrat. You would want to recycle those cards. You would want to get back to the clients in a different way altogether. So if you're trying to engage with prospects in a different way, as well as the inactive clients in a different way, you go back on the engagement route. You try to create a deal card for prospect in a different way. Let's suppose 45 days before the expiration date, you would want to start your outreach. For your inactive clients, you would want to start the outreach 60 days before the X date. So you can differentiate and create different kind of automations there. So that is another approach that you can actually take while you're trying to create the X dates on the engagement route. If you're trying to bring in all the X dates directly and you do not want to create any differential pointers there, you can go back to the pipeline. In the pipeline settings, you can approach it in that way as well. So there are different ways to approach while you're trying to create or bring in the cards on the pipeline. But once the card is in the pipeline, you can set different kind of automations, and then let the automations do its trick and engage with the clients, rather than you personally going in and your agents going into the clients to engage with them. While they do the engagement through the automations itself, let the client come back to you with the interest. So create your contents as much as possible in a most encouraging way and the most engaging way as well. So what all you can offer in terms of rates if they actually come back to your agency. So those kind of communications you would want to try to create as a template and send it out through automations. And probably that would actually become a hook for those clients to come back to your agency to get a quote from you. And that is where you get back these clients and win these clients again. I hope that gives a gist on the discussion. Mike has a question, I believe. He says, is there a risk of having multiple win back cards indicated the lost client's prospect, or will IM know that we only want the client to get one type of message per category, per X date, for example? Meaning, is there anything from preventing multiple employees from entering multiple X dates for the same contact? So that's a good question, Mike. So if you, so again, as Subrat mentioned, your agents can manually create the cards. That's one, of course, way. The other way is let the system do the trick, right? Let the system create the cards for you. You can review in the opportunity module. Let's suppose you are just trying to review in the next 30 days how many X date cards should be populating in the pipeline. So you know if it is 100 in numbers or if it's 15 numbers. Now you can just simply go back and check if all the cards got created or not once the system is recycling and creating those cards. If you miss out something, you can then go back and take the manual approach. The system will not miss it out. The system will create 100 cards if it is there to create the 100 cards. So if you require a manual approach, that is when you go for manual approach. If you're doing the automation, you do not have to take the manual approach there. But the system will actually identify when you're trying to create the card there, because on the contact level or the account level, you would be able to go back to pipelines and see what all pipeline cards that contact or the account has, right? So if there is a card existing in the XDate pipeline, you should not actually create another one for it. You should work on the existing one. So that is the approach that you should be taking, Mike. I hope that answers. Any other question? While we have Subrat, you should be asking a few questions. I'll quickly share my screen again. Let's see. So Mike has an additional one. Let's say I want to review policies we lost in April. Is there a way to see that information in IM and get to approve which loss policies to add to the pipeline? We aren't using this pipeline, obviously. Yes, so you will be able to review all the policies that you lost in April from the policy section as well. So that you would want to share the screen and show it. Let me stop sharing once. You can review the policies that you lost for a particular month. That's absolutely possible. And then you can choose to mark the X date as well.
Is my screen visible now, everyone?
Yes,
Kunal?
Subrat. It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So over here, what we can do, just to identify what are the policies where marked lost, the best way I'll say is like you go to the specific pipeline where we are marking a deal card as lost, and we can use a filter of the month over here. Sorry. We can go to this lost option, and we can see all the cards over here which were been marked as lost. Okay, but to identify on the basis of month, we'll have to go to the reports module. We have deal card marked as lost option. Sorry, that will be in the dashboard. I'm sorry. Pipeline dashboard. We have basis of on what time range the deal code is marked as lost, we can identify from here itself. Let's suppose I click on the master report. I'll cancel all pipeline. I'll select any one pipeline. Let me select for pipeline which we have created. I'll select the date range, custom date range from 1st of May to till date. And all the cards which have been marked as lost will be showing up over here. We can again segregate on the basis of status, where we'll be giving the option the one, the open, and the lost, and we can click on the lost numbers to get the data of the deal cards which are marked as lost. Okay, so we'll have a separate data for them, and we can see that for which contact the extent has to be updated, and we can manually add those in the contacts if needed. So this is the reason I specifically said that it is always better to plan today, so that like from going onwards, we don't have to manually add the X dates in the contacts or any deal cards where we are marking them as lost. If we are already planning to start working on X date, it should be the first measures which we should be taking, that making the X date as a mandatory option while marking a deal card as lost, so that like whenever you mark a deal card as lost, the system will not mark that particular deal card as lost unless you'll add a X date into that particular reason as a in the lost reasons. Okay, so that is actually a very good option. So for to make changes in that part, you can go to the settings module. As an admin, you have the configuration option where you can select on the basis of restrictions, sorry, mandatory fields, where you have lost yield reasons, and you can select what all details you will be needing. Like X we can mark it as required, so that we don't miss any opportunity to add a lost like X date whenever we are marking a deal card as lost. Okay, and when your agents are also marking any deal card as lost, it will also be a mandatory option for them, so that they are bound to add a X date, so that this X date can be used in future and the cards can be created again on a cyclic basis. Let me know if the explanation was helpful. If you have any other questions, please put it on the chat as well.
I think Mike does has a question on that note. So he's asking, so IM is making lost deal cards automatically? Not automatically, Mike. So IM would not automatically mark the deal card lost until and unless you automate that process on the
Yes.
pipeline itself.
So in this pipeline, actually, I had an option where we were automatically marking the deal card as lost. So this is actually what I had added for, just to let you know that if the time frame has passed and there is no response from the client, we can automate the mark lost option as well, so that like when the card will be getting lost automatically. Okay. If you don't, there's no need of adding it in a stage automation, we can simply remove it as well. So we can remove the stage automation, and if needed, like we can add any other automations, like we want to move the card from one stage to another, we can use these move options and select the same pipeline with the same port settings. So it like in the whole pipeline only, we can automate the process, like the card will be moving in the respective aligned dates. So agents don't have to manually move the cards as well. So these options are very helpful when we are looking into automate things. And at the end, there will be definitely everything is automated, but there is definitely a need of human touch, which I feel like. So adding X date while marking a deal card is lost is a good option. So it makes things very easier, so that we don't have to open the contact, edit it, and add the X dates manually again. It will be easier for future identification from the opportunity module as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Subrat. Mike, I hope that answers your question. If it brings in other questions, I feel free to reach out to me, or I can directly reach out to you and we can discuss this further as well. We are almost at the end of the hour. So I'll quickly share my screen again and I'll
I'll stop
take over
sharing.
the next steps. Yeah, I'll take over the next steps there. Perfect. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
I hope we had a good question and answer session. And let's quickly move forward and we talk about the InsuredMine Academy as well. So I'm sure a lot of you know about the InsuredMine Academy, but for the newer ones who joined in today and the ones that have recently started with InsuredMine, you can also review the InsuredMine Academy where you would get a holistic view of how the agents have as in terms of access, how the admins have in terms of access. So you have your own certification course that you can actually take and learn more about InsuredMine as well before you actually start with InsuredMine and jump into training sessions with your CSMs. You can get a quick overview of what all functionalities you would have for yourself and what all things you would be able to do in terms of the role that you have in InsuredMine. So you can scan the screen and you would be able to navigate through the InsuredMine Academy as well. Moving over, we would also want you to register for our upcoming webinars as well. As you know, right now we do bi-weekly webinars and we try to bring in interesting concepts, interesting topics to discuss so that you can maximize the ROI out of InsuredMine as well. So you can also scan the QR code on the screen and to register for the upcoming webinars as well. Or you can simply go back to our website, where insuredmine.com/webinars, and you would be able to review all the webinars, the past webinars that we have already done and the upcoming ones as well. So you would be able to subscribe for the webinars as well. Having said that, we are on the end of our hour and I would thank each and every one of you for joining in today. I would also thank Subrat for giving your time to join into this webinar and share your knowledge with our agencies and agents there. I hope this was helpful and a lot more interesting as well.
Thank you so much for having me on the call today, Kunal.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.